So, Halloween is the time of year where you dress up in costume, you pay respect. Well, realistically, every time of year you should be paying respect to the dead. But this is also the time of year where people and corporations think that it's the only time of year you can watch Halloween. Well, we'll get to that later. But I want to discuss my personal favorite Halloween movie, Trick or Treat. So, this 2007 is one of the best Halloween movies because it has different stories going on all in the same night. And you have to play detective if you want to understand what you're watching. If you want to understand like what point in time each of these things happen, you got to do your research. And that is exactly what I did. I have notes right here. Here, this is Pokemon Legends Arceus stuff. And I have a bit on this page as well. But anyway, if you don't want to be spoiled on Trick or Treat, first of all, go watch that movie. It is really good. It's on HBO Max if you have it. There's also other places you can watch it. But anyway, uh, if you just don't want spoilers in general, uh, now is your opportunity to stop watching this. And if you didn't want spoilers, why'd you click on the video? But anyway, so 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, so we are now in the spoiler zone. So realistically, I could try to go from like the beginning to the end. However, I'm gonna try to bounce around like wherever my notes take place. All right, so first off, we have to start off with the news. Like the news article, oh, not article, but the news report connects three timelines. You got, well, you got the party storyline, you got Stephen Wilkins storyline, and you got uh, the Krieg storyline. Uh, I didn't put this timeline together like last night after watching this movie because it was late, and I kind of figured that maybe talking through this as well could be helpful. So realistically, the costume party timeline right there. Like they start off with, well, more like the costume store part because those are pretty much happening at the same time. I could actually work this out better. So we got news and costume. Now I'll mention like parade or party, but this is costume. But with that going on, like with the news, we can connect the introduction of Wilkins as well as Krieg and Sam attacking Krieg. But you know what? I should mention that there is that one flashback scene that took place 30 years ago. So technically, the flashback is the first thing happen. But also, this is where we see Charlie, who I believe is played by the same guy who played Thurman Merman in Bad Santa and Bad Santa 2. Great movies, by the way. So if you haven't seen those, absolutely watch those as well. But yeah, in this flashback, we see the kid in the Dracula costume get out of his cuffs and take control of the bus, which then he drives it off the edge into the quarry. But also, I should mention, Sam saw the bus drive to the quarry. So that is how we get Sam into the story. Wait, Krieg was paid off by the parents of the students, and Krieg was the only survivor. So we took care of that section. And if we're bouncing around, let's start off with how the movie started and ended. So, to start off, we see Rhonda, and then he almost gets hit by the party girls who are named Lori, Danielle, Maria, and Janet. And then we also see Emma and Henry, who are the couple, like I said at the beginning of the movie. So, we see those same characters at the end, but we see more of the picture. Like, we see Sam. We also see how Mr. Krieg is in that section of the timeline. But we also see Billy Wilkins, who is the son of Stephen Wilkins. So, let's. There are a couple things that I don't know, like what happens first or whatnot. But we know that we can put R.I.E. Krieg and Emma. That is how our timeline pretty much ends. Well, besides the fact that I guess we can also guarantee that Henry discovering Emma's body is the de facto end of this timeline. And if I mix up a couple of my facts, please respectfully let me know in the comments. I'm not good at explaining things, so that's why I kind of need to plot out this story on camera. Wait, we already covered that the chocolate that Charlie ate was laced. Oh, hold on. That's where my eraser. So, you know, I'll actually have to put Sam down a little bit further. So, uh, put burying along with that. Even though Craig's not the one burying, that is Wilkins. So then, after the burial, we know that's when Sam attacks. Well, he attacks Krieg. And then I have notes for all sorts of things, and well, okay, you know what? The whole Wilkins story is happening at that time. I forgot to mention that is where we are introduced to uh, Chip, Macy, and Sarah, as well as Sam, who is trick or treating at Wilkins' house. And I should also put B for Billy. And that moment where uh, Sam gets candy from Krieg, that's no, not Krieg. Oh my goodness, Wilkins. When Sam gets the candy from Wilkins, that unknowingly saves Wilkins' life for the moment. So now that I got these, the uh, you know, in the burial, we also have to mention that Wilkins throws a cut off finger into Krieg's yard for his dog Spite. That's right, the dog's name is Spite, and I love that. So, when Sam is attacking Krieg, I'm pretty sure that is when Lori splits off from her sister and friends. Uh, Wilkins and Billy Carve. Uh, so then we can kind of figure out that the Mrs. Henderson Halloween party is happening around the same time. since these guys, well, these three went there. So I don't. Yeah, some of these, like I mentioned, they're going to be a bit trickier to kind of put into place. So if I miss something, I'm sorry. Oh yeah, so after Mrs. Henderson, we pretty much immediately meet Raider and Rhonda. So we can kind of link those together. So now, I think we can also kind of fit the Halloween parade into this spot. Oh no, not really. Because the Halloween parade features Stephen Wilkins, who is the Man in Black. So let's just put Man in Black. And I'm sure that uh, Chip, Macy, Sarah, Raider, and Rhonda are all on their way to the quarry. But I'm not going to mark that down because that's going to be later in the story. So let's mark off the points that I've talked about or I don't really feel the need to bring up. Parade. So yeah, that's when the Man in Black bites the woman. And who does this woman run into? Emma and Henry. So that is how they are introduced into the story in the timeline. Okay, I think yeah. Unless I just realized I made a mistake in my notes. I accidentally wrote laugh instead of life. Maybe. Okay, but when it comes to Sam attacking Wilkins, we can also kind of talk about how Fight makes a yelping sound before he gets attacked, so we can't really determine what happened to Spite. Spite get injured? Did the worst happen? Okay, mention the news. And I guess also in this, we can kind of count uh, uh, Man in Black follow Ori. Because I'm pretty sure that between this section and this section is maybe an hour. I mean, it's kind of hard to tell because, well, for one, they never really specify what time of the day these parts are happening. But if we think about it realistically, the sun in the Midwest tends to start, and well, it tends to go down by like 6:37 at the end of October. Why do I specify the Midwest? Because this takes place in Warren Valley, Ohio. I be okay. It's far out. Ohio is a state in the Midwestern region of the United States. Technically, it is the Midwest, but I time zone. Okay, never mind. They are in the hemisphere. Oh, not hemisphere. Daylight time. So that would mean this would all. Well, this would all kind of be happening after 7, I guess. Unless I'm using too much logic. Alright, but anyway, is there anything else I can kind of eliminate from my current timeline? Okay, so we got Wilkins burying Charlie. Krieg gets attacked while burning pictures. Uh, Sam gets a few wounds in his face and chest. Oh yeah, the jack-o'-lanterns end up on his lawn between the burning of the pictures and no, more between Krieg confronting Wilkins and the attack. Right, then his foot gets shanked. Sam bites a sucker or a lollipop, whatever you guys want to call it. Breaks Krieg's arm. And then stabs the candy bar, considering that an offering. So Then we know that later in the night, we have the Krieg and Emma getting dealt with. But yeah, so we can kind of decipher that Rhonda, Party Girls, because I don't really feel like listing all four of their names up here. And then the couple. That's when they all kind of re-enter the town. Oh yeah, we can also include Sam, Emma. Oh yeah, like right before Free gets dealt with, he does hand out candy, understanding the spirit of Halloween, or just being absolutely terrified of my boy Sam. Alright, let's see. Then we can kind of go down here to Ari walks, like she's walking to the party, and then man in black hits her. And then we can go here. Because let's see, the director makes a severe and continuous lapse in judgment, and then a body falls from the tree. Well, I'm not going to refer to it as a body because Wilkins is still alive. Falls. Oh. Then werewolf party. That then leads to the entirety of the quarry, which kind of bounces back up to there. So we can cross out that. And also, do you know who's being a little creeper by watching that entire werewolf scene? We also have Sam watching that party. And then, like at the end of that quarry scene, we also see Sam again. And do you know why I'm putting the quarry scene after the werewolf party? Well, I mean, they arrive to the werewolf party, then they get the flashback. Then, Chip. No. It's Prater, Macy, and Sarah that go down the elevator first. Then we hear the howling. which means the werewolf party is happening right then and there. Well, not there, but in the timeline. That's when it's happening. And let's see. I I also forgot to put Rip Wilkins. So we got Werewolf Party, Man in Black being Steven, severe and continuous lapse in judgment. Rhonda sees Sam. Sam being a dirty little freak. Also, when it comes to that scene, it's very awkward to watch with other people. Like, I respect women. I don't ogle them and go all cartoony. So, watching that scene with my mom is so weird. So I just kind of had to focus on writing my notes. And I looked up just in time to see Sam at that party. So yeah, that's all the notes on that page. We got that. They also mention like kind of like in the end of the werewolf section and the beginning of the quarry section. For 8 jack-o'-lanterns equals 8 souls. I got that. School bus massacre. Werewolf howl. Candles protect the living. That's incorporated in the quarry scene. Kids pranking Rhonda. Rhonda falls and gets knocked the F out. And then students come back to life. Rhonda abandons group. That's all listed in the quarry section. And that is. Yeah, that's all of my notes, I believe. So, let me see how much I can zoom in. Alright, perfect. So, oh, never really. I don't know. Okay, gotta move the flamingo foot just to make this somewhat. Okay, why? Okay, I don't know why it's not level. Because the bunk bed's level, the zip ties are level. But anyway, do this. Okay. Let me grab my mic. Alright, so the trick or treat timeline is this. At least according to my research. So if anything is incorrect, just let me know. Uh 30 years ago, Wilkins gets paid off to eliminate children. And then we can cut to present times with the news and the costume store. And along that same hour or so, Wilkins is having a chat with Charlie. He gives him laced chocolate, and then while he's dragging in Charlie, we have Chip, Macy, Sarah, and Sam all trick-or-treating at his house. And while he is trying to bury Charlie, we have Billy and Krieg interrupting him, as well as Spite, who is a good boy. And then when he's done burying Charlie, he's heading back inside, where he sees Sam. And well, he doesn't see Sam attacking. He sees Krieg pounding on the window, begging for help. And he just hits him with the coldest "screw you." But anyway, I believe around that same time, Laurie is splitting off from the group, and Wilkins and Billy head down to the basement to carve up the head of Charlie. And while the kids are walking over to Mrs. Henderson's house to get a jack-o'-lantern, that is when her absolute rager of a party is going on. And I don't mean rager in like a good way. Like, trust me, they get freaky. But anyway, shortly after that, like not even, I would say like 2 minutes later, they meet up with Schrader. Then they go find Rhonda's house, which realistically you could probably put the Rhonda part in this section. But anyway, so maybe like an hour later, we see the Man in Black, who is a vampire, Mr. Wilkins, at the party, making out with this girl in an alley. Like, we don't even get to figure out the girl's name. But then, all bloodied, she runs into the street, tries to get help from Emma and Henry. But they just assume that she's just another drunk person at this party. And then once the Man in Black props up the body right next to a bunch of other people who didn't even notice, by the way, that this was happening, he finds a new target in Laurie. Alright, and then we kind of cut to the phone call. I didn't write that down because I didn't feel the need to. But Laurie eventually starts walking through the woods to this Halloween party that she was supposed to be at. I didn't mention this specifically, but like from this entire top row, that is the Halloween parade. But anyway, the Man in Black, Stephen Wilkins, the principal, he catches up to her, bites her neck, and then eventually we see a hooded figure fall from a tree. And that's when we find out that Laurie was the one who got the upper hand and put her hood on Wilkins and just kind of dropped him out of a tree. And then that's when the whole werewolf scene happens. And we have Sam watching these werewolves tear people apart limb from limb. And when that howl, like towards the end, happens, we cut to the quarry. Well, kind of. Because during the werewolf party, they get to the quarry, they tell the backstory, and then 3 out of the 5 kids go down into the quarry in the elevator. And that is when Chip and Rhonda hear the howling. And Rhonda even acknowledges werewolves. So, after Chip and Rhonda get down the elevator, after hearing the screaming of the others, Chip stays in the elevator like a coward. And then Rhonda gets pranked by the others. She ends up falling back and hitting her head, knocking her out. I don't know how long she was knocked out for, but realistically, nothing else in the timeline could have happened while she was knocked out. Because at the end, when we see when we see Krieg looking around the neighborhood, that's when we return to seeing Rhonda, who abandoned the others in the quarry. And she sees Sam, who kind of just gives her like a little good job. Good job on celebrating Halloween. But yeah, those other kids, even Schrader, who was honestly the nicest to her, all 4 of them get ripped to shreds. But yeah, eventually we see Krieg giving out candy. We see Billy waiting on the doorstep of his own house with his dad, Stephen Wilkins. And he doesn't know that his own father got eliminated by werewolves. But anyway, that is when we also see Rhonda, who almost gets hit by the werewolves, who are back in their human form, coming back from the party. They're not going to the party, even though that's how it kind of looks in the beginning of the movie. But, I'm thinking about it. Even in the beginning of the movie, it wouldn't make sense if they were on their way to the party. Because Emma and Henry are getting back from the party. Which means this is absolutely at the end. And then, I'm kind of thinking that Sam gets to Emma after the zombified children from 30 years ago takes out Krieg. Because it's pretty much almost immediately after Krieg heads back inside that he hears another knock. But then, Henry, who gets done watching his nature special, which that's also a weird scene to watch with anyone, uh, that is when Henry discovers the body. But I think that since he fell asleep, we don't really know how long that took, so it might have been like right before it hit midnight, or it could have been like early, like very, very early, November 1st. But yeah, for any movie buffs or film historians that are somehow watching this YouTube video, uh, please respectfully correct me in the comments if I'm wrong on anything. Alright, let's put my microphone back. But anyway, before I end the video, we gotta discuss the Halloween movies only during Halloween. Like, yeah, I know that they have horror movies on every single platform. I don't think Disney Plus has any horror movies, though. They have Halloween movies, just not like straight up horror movies. I mean, that's probably going to change since Hulu has horror movies. And they're getting rid of Hulu. At least that's what I think they're still planning on doing. But yeah, I absolutely love horror movies. Yes, this is coming from a guy who can't even play horror games or videos or streams without getting like super anxious. Like, there's a difference. I can watch horror movies because I know I'm not the one in the, well, metaphorical driver's seat. In horror games, I'm pretty much in that universe. At least that's kind of how it feels. But anyway, if you're going to remove Halloween movies or horror movies from your platform just to put them back up for 2 months out of the year, maybe even three, just why? Like, I'm not the only one who loves all sorts of horror movies, like, throughout the year. But there are sometimes I want to watch a specific horror movie, and it's not even on, like, Peacock or anything like that. Like, I made a What Boozles My Beans about something like this. But this was back when they added Happy Gilmore 2 to Netflix, but they were also getting rid of Happy Gilmore. But my point is, don't remove horror movies just to add them back in for 2 to 3 months. Like, let us have them for a longer amount of time. But Trick or Treat one of my favorite horror movies of all time, mainly because it makes you work to figure out the exact order that each scene takes place. Like like I mentioned, it's probably not perfect. I probably could have moved a couple pieces and it makes more sense. But this is how I kind of got it. But just because Halloween is around the corner doesn't mean you should just wait until Friday to watch a horror movie. Trust me, there are some great horror movies that are perfect for any time of year. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching the video. Please like, share, subscribe, comment any other video ideas you have for the future. Have a happy and safe Halloween, and I will catch you in the next one.